What's up, Run Elite? It's Guys here. Now today we're gonna be talking about recovery. Now recovery for your running is so crucially important because if you do the biggest, most badass workouts possible, but you don't recover from it, or not even from a single workout, if your training plan is getting harder and harder and harder and you're not recovering as you're going, you're not gonna reap the benefits of the hard training that you're putting in. So training even harder is not gonna make any difference, and in fact, it's probably gonna hurt your performance. So today, we're gonna talk about 4 ways that you can maximize your recovery. And we're gonna start at the most holistic level. So I've got a pyramid drawn up here behind me, and we're gonna start at the bottom, which is the most important, crucially fundamental. Are you ready? And that is sleep. Now, if you don't sleep well enough to recover from your runs, you're not gonna perform that well. But let's take a deeper dive into this for a minute. A lot of the runners who I talk to, they're running maybe, let's just put a hypothetical out there and say that they're running 30 to 40 miles a week and they wanna run the best marathon that they can. So they come to me and they're asking for the workouts. What long runs, what training runs, what interval runs can I do to move my performance? But we all know that if you're only running a relatively small amount of miles in a week, that you're gonna get a lot of benefit by just running more. Now there is a decreasing benefit as you run more and more and more, injury risk goes up and the return that you get on the time you're putting in goes down. But that is not gonna really be maxed out until you're at probably higher than 30 to 40 miles per week for most runners. So let's just say that a runner wanted to get their best marathon in 9 months from now, and they're running 35 miles a week. Instead of doing a workout and a big long run and any other kind of double workout or tempo run, anything that we could do, we probably just want to increase their mileage as one of the main things that we track. So let's say that we want to take them from 35 miles a week to, I don't know, let's just make something up here. Let's say 70 miles per week. Just doing that jump alone is gonna have a huge benefit on marathon performance. So if that same runner is not sleeping well, they're probably not going to be able to run 35 miles a week and get it up to twice as much and run 70. They're just gonna be tired. And so a lot of runners, they're sleeping maybe a little bit more, but not that much more than the average person, which is gonna come in anywhere from like on the lower end to like 4 to 5 hours per night, maybe up to 6 or 7 hours per night. And very few people who I talk with are getting more than 7. Very few are getting more than 8, and hardly anybody is getting 9 or above. But I'll tell you, when you look at elite runners, their sleep is a lot more than that. Elite marathoners, yeah, they're training high volume, but they're sleeping 9 to 12 hours per day. It's gonna be 8 to 9 hours at night, and then almost all of them take a nap in the middle of the day. That's anywhere from 1 to a couple of hours. So they're getting in at least 10 and a half hours per day. Now that's probably more than you. Now they're also training at a higher volume, but that's the point, is that if you want to train at a higher volume, which is one of the leading indicators of how well you're gonna race over the marathon, you've got to recover from it. So if you don't sleep well, you're not going to recover well. Now, before we go on to the other ones, which are very important, sleep is just so important that I'm gonna share with you a couple of hacks that you can do to get some better sleep. Now, I hope you can find a way to maybe minimize other tasks, get off screens and media and our phones that keep us up late at night. But when you actually go to sleep, let me give you a couple of hacks that you can do. One of the things that you can do if you wanna enhance your sleep is about half an hour to an hour before you go to bed, you wanna get your body a little bit warm. You can take a hot shower, a warm shower, and if you don't want to take a shower, you can just get your feet and the palms of your hands into some warm water. Now what this does is it actually starts to increase our body temperature, which is the opposite of what we want to do to go to bed. We want to lower our body temperature. But if you get into some warm water, you dilate all the blood vessels in your body on the skin, and you're actually getting warmer. But then when you get out, all those blood vessels are dilated and you're gonna dump body heat out of your body. Your core body temperature is gonna go a little bit up and then it's gonna spike down. And that is gonna be an indicator to your body that it's time to go to sleep. So you can take a warm shower 30 to 60 minutes before you go to bed. Another thing that you can do is make sure that the room that you're sleeping in is, number one, really cold as you can take it. This is gonna help, again, cool that body temperature and give you a deeper sleep. But another thing that you can do is get rid of the light. I'm gonna share with you a hack that you can use right here. One of the best things that I've done for my sleep is put blackout curtains on the 2 windows that I have in my bedroom. I draw those down, and even if the sun is still up a little bit or there's a full moon out, I really can't see much of anything. But, you know, silly old me, when I installed the blackout curtains, I didn't install them perfectly. So around the edges of the curtain, there's still some light that comes in. So I'm gonna share with you a hack that you can use right here. Now, you've probably seen something like this before, a sleep mask. I've actually got 4 sleep masks now, and I'm gonna share with you how you can really use this to get the best. So if you have just a cheap sleep mask that you get from CVS or something like that, it's basically just some fabric that stretches like this. You put it on your head and it kind of squeezes and sucks onto your head. But those ones that are just flat, they don't really work. First of all, they're not comfortable. They kind of like compress your head. And then they let light in from around the sides. So it's kind of like my blackout curtains that still let light in. Don't do that. You can upgrade and you can get, this is just a little bit better of a sleep mask. And you can see that there's these little like divots for your eyes to go into. And I did use this for a while, but I found it not really comfortable. You know, I can still see the floor down there and the light from up here. It's like, it's okay, but really it doesn't do the trick. So I actually found 2 sleep masks that work insanely well. Check this out. So it's by this company called Manta Sleep. And this thing is so incredible. I'm just gonna show this to you because it's definitely worth getting. First of all, is a lot of sleep masks will compress and squeeze on you because they're elastic. This one, it uses a Velcro, so there's nothing like squeezing your head. Now, why would you want like Velcro near your hair? They really thought of everything. Check this out. The Velcro on this thing is so, it like doesn't stick to your hair. It's like some kind of Velcro I've never seen before. But the real cool part about this is that, look at this, these eye cups, they're so deep and smooth. This is like very, you know, comfortable. And they come off completely and you can move them around so it's fully adjustable. But when you put this on, your eyeballs just go right in the middle of those cups. And, you know, you can't see what I see right now, but all I see is pitch black. I've got studio lights in here that are, I can feel the heat from them. I'm talking absolutely 0 light leakage from around, it's nothing. I can look right into a studio light somewhere over here and it's just pitch black. So this thing is just like, does the job. If you're gonna do anything for your sleep, you wanna get cool and you wanna get dark. This is really like the product that does it. Super breathable, super comfy. These guys put so much effort into making, this is what they do. They just make sleep masks and it's really freaking outstanding. But I like to sleep with white noise too because I may wake up easy. There's noise outside, barking dogs or something like that. So I put an air conditioner or a fan on for white noise. But when I travel, I can't do that. So I actually have one of these Manta masks that has built-in Bluetooth. So this is really the same thing, but check it out. On the outside of this, it's got this removable Bluetooth headset. So if we take that away, this is really the same thing as the one that I just showed you, right? There's really no difference, but we can add on for when you're traveling or on an airplane or something like that. They've got this contraption that sticks over the top of it with Velcro. And you can just see it's got like Bluetooth controls. It'll pair with your phone. And it's got these little speakers by your ear. So let's see if I can put this on here and show you. So I can't see if I'm doing it right because I'm blindfolded, but it's just like that. And now you have this same sleep mask that I just showed you, but with music, which is pretty darn cool. And I use this if I go camping or if I'm traveling on a plane. And it's just freaking awesome. So I highly recommend investing in blackout curtains and a high quality sleep mask. Please don't waste your time on junk like this. It's not gonna work. I would wake up in the morning and just like found that I kicked this thing off and it was on top of my head. Just get a good sleep mask. And I like these guys so much. I'll put a link down below. You can get a discount on these as well if you want. If you use the link below, you'll get, I think it's like 10% off or something like that. But they're really worth it. Super cool stuff. Let's move on to number 2 because this is hugely important. Number 2 is nutrition. What you eat is gonna determine how well you recover. How you sleep and how you eat. This is the main determining factor. Now, a lot of people are gonna hate this because they don't wanna change their diets. And I'm telling you for sure that if you eat well and sleep well, you can run as much as you want. One of my favorite ultra runners, his name is Michael Arnstein. He gets up in the morning, runs 15.5 miles to work. At the end of the day, 15.5 miles back. So he gets 31 miles every day, Monday through Friday. And then on the weekend, does 2 50-mile long runs. Now, that's a lot of volume, but he sleeps about 9 hours per day. Very good. He uses blackout curtains, he uses a sleep mask, he uses a sleep cap. He's really maximized this. But then his nutrition, he eats all raw fruits and vegetables. Now, don't shoot the messenger here. This is just what works. And I want you to think about this. When you eat a meal that's dense, now we can talk about dense being cooked, being heavy in meat, animal products, cheese, things that are hard to digest because they're low in fiber, they're low in water, they're low in enzymes. And if we eat those things, we have to use energy to digest. You ever eat Thanksgiving meal and you have all this food and then food gives us energy, right? But then after Thanksgiving meal, what does everybody want to do? They want to go take a nap. And they say it's the tryptophan in the turkey. No, it's because you just stuffed yourself with butter and oil and meat and cheese and all kinds of nonsense like this. So our body has to go into digestion. We have to take the energy available in our body and allocate it to digestion. Now that's energy that we are not allocating to muscle contraction, muscle repair, increased blood flow, just the way that we feel. We get tired. So if you eat foods that are easily digestible, you get to save all of that energy that we put into digestion. Now, no matter how much you're running, you can be running 100 miles per week. Most of your energy goes into, well, your basal metabolism, just kind of keeping you alive. But aside from basal metabolism, because we're not going to change that all that much, most of your energy goes into digesting the food that we eat, a lot of energy. So if you lighten that load of digestive energy and you eat foods that are easy to digest, like watermelon, for example, you get to take all that extra energy and put it into recovery or running, and you get to run more or recover better from the running that you've already done. Now, this is really important. This is the key to my own running success. I run really long distances. I run 100-mile races, 200-mile races. I'm actually running a 300-mile race in about 6 months, so we're training for that. And there is no chance that I'd be able to train the long runs and the workouts that I'm doing if I couldn't recover. Now, I do sleep really well. I make sure that I'm getting at least 8.5 hours every single night, but nutrition is just the key. And I want you to hear a couple things here. One of the subscribers on YouTube actually posted a couple days ago that he wasn't even thinking about it, but he ate half of a watermelon before he went to bed and then woke up the next morning and felt more recovered than before. So when we go to bed, I'm gonna harp on this for a minute here because you have to hear this. The last two, they'll go pretty quick. So make sure that you hear this. When you do something like an intermittent fast, you've probably heard of this before, right? When you intermittent fast, we take the window of time that you're eating and we just whittle it down to a smaller window. Now that has a lot of benefits for a lot of people, and there's a number of reasons why, but one of the reasons why is that if you stop eating throughout all of the day and we compress it into a smaller period, it means that your body isn't using the energy for digestion as much. In fact, you might have 16 or 18 or even 20 hours during a 24-hour cycle where you're not digesting. And so people claim that they feel more energized and they feel better, and they do, because they don't have to put as much energy into digestion. Now, you can restrict the time window of eating, but you can also reduce the cost of the food it is that you're eating. So you could start your day with a fruit smoothie and some raw fruit or maybe a juice. And for lunch, you could have salad or whatever. You can eat fruit for dinner. You can keep it highly raw. Now, if you don't want to do that, you don't have to go that far. I do recommend that you consider it. That's what I do. But if you just take the food that you're eating, even at dinner, even before bed, and we make it less heavy, you're also going to sleep better.
Your body has to spin up all kinds of metabolic activity to address this food it must digest. That's challenging. You have a blood glucose spike when that happens, and then once you have that, it drops. So you have this blood glucose fluctuation. You also have a disruption of melatonin production where your body says, I want to get ready for bed, and now that's off the rails. So it disrupts the entire process the body's expecting as you ready yourself for sleep.
When that food is in your stomach and you go to bed, your heart rate doesn't come down nearly as quickly, and it impedes your diet will start to impede your sleep. So nutrition is so important on its own, but it also has the potential to enhance or hurt our sleep. So I want you to consider having lighter foods, high in water, high in enzymes. Why do I keep saying enzymes? Because if you eat something like an orange contains enzymes, and those enzymes really auto-digest the orange. So you eat it, goes into your stomach, goes into your small intestine, and the enzymes mix with the food, mix with the rest of the orange, and they auto-digest. And then really all we need to do is absorb. We don't need to digest. But when you eat something like eggs or steak with cheese and oil, then there's no enzymes in there. So we have to digest it. We have to mobilize our white blood cell count. And your white blood cell count goes up by a factor of 3 or more when you eat cooked food or animal products. And so we have to use all that energy in our immune system to break that food down into its constituents and then finally be able to absorb it. But it takes a lot of energy. So sleep. The utmost importance. If you don't sleep, you're not being elite with your running. Now, I'm not telling you that it's just like that easy to get more sleep. Maybe you're busy. Okay, but if you want to run really well in a marathon or any distance, you want to make sure that you're getting sleep to recover from higher volume of training. And if you don't increase your training, train harder, train longer, train more specific, train more frequently, you're not really going to move your fitness forward that much. So we have to sleep and we have to eat well. Now, nutrition goes so much deeper than just recovery, but the topic of this video is recovery. So let's move on to number 3. Okay, number 3 is massage. Now, If you want to get a massage and go to a massage studio and have someone take their hands and put them on you and, work the muscles out, have at it. It's fun. It feels good. It's nice. I like it, but I'm not going to do that every day. It runs up a bill really quickly. It takes a lot of time. And honestly, it's not as effective as these guys here. So I'm gonna walk you through my favorite massage tools. Now let's start with the ones that you're probably most familiar with. You've probably seen these before. A foam roller. I really like these. It's by Trigger Point, not sponsored by Trigger Point. I just like them. They're easy to travel with because you can pack your clothes in there. But essentially a foam roller, you're gonna lay on it, put your legs on it and roll back and forth. Now this is pretty effective, but I don't find it effective for everything. It's really effective for IT band friction syndrome if you have that. Otherwise, there are other things that I like better. This is indispensable. You can use a ball. Now this is a lacrosse ball, but a racquetball, lacrosse ball, or even golf ball are really great for two things. They're really great for your plantar fascia, and they're really great for piriformis syndrome, if you've ever had that. And that's because you can take your whole body weight and you can concentrate it on a single point and you can roll it out. So, you just drop it on the floor and step on it and roll it out. I know you can't see my foot, but you don't need to. You get the point, right? But aside from those, which you probably know, these massage guns here have been indispensable for my recovery. I bring them to races with me. I use them after runs, and I'm gonna talk about the difference between these two. I like them both, but I do have a preference. So the first one is by Trigger Point. Now I've gone through 3 of these. This is my 3rd or 4th one. I've gone through at least 3 over the last couple years, and it is a very good device, but in my experience, it breaks pretty easily. It also only has one head on it, so you're just stuck with it. It is what it is. You get what you see. But it's pretty cool. It's got different speeds on it, and it's portable. It works pretty well. But like I say, this thing, there's like a mechanism inside of here that just snaps and starts rattling, and it doesn't work. It works for like a couple months with heavy use, and then it kind of goes away. It is cheap though. It's like maybe 200 bucks. You can get it at a local running store. It's very good, but I have one that is way better that I definitely recommend. And that is this guy here. Now the brand, I'd never heard of them before. They're called Bob and Brad, but they sent me this massage gun and this thing kicks butt. So they sent it to me for free and they wanted me to test it out. And I told them that I'm gonna test it out and I'm not gonna review it. I'm not gonna say anything about it until at least 6 months have passed. I gotta make sure it's not gonna break. Now I've had this for a year and it does so much more than that other gun. So first of all, it's a little bit more compact. It has the same kind of different speed settings. So just press and hold. So that's the lowest setting and you can kind of see it's going crazy here. It looks in the camera like it's going slow. It's going really fast. That's just because of the frame rate. You turn it up to higher speeds, you get how it works. But there's a couple things that make this better. First is that it doesn't break. I use this heavily and I put a lot of pressure on my tibialis posterior to try to work that thing out. But I want you to look at the head on this thing compared with this one. So this is a broad head, really good for your quads and your hamstrings. But if you really want to get in there, look at this guy here. But this thing gets even crazier. It has some technologies on it that I don't often use, but they're so cool. I'm just going to show you. So first of all, it comes with different heads. I just use this one, the only one I use, but you can replace it. Just snap that off and put this one on. And now it looks a lot like that other massage gun. So you can use this for big muscle groups like quads, hamstrings, glutes, and you can use this for other things. So already you have more application, but it gets crazier. It actually has this insane head that you can put on it that either, now get this, I don't even know how they do this, but you can choose if you want it either hot or cold. And it has a mechanism in there that'll heat it, so you can apply heat to whatever, your IT band if you want. Or you can set it to cold and use it for cold too. It's just insane. I don't know how they did this, but anyway, it's called Bob and Brad. I highly recommend it. This is the one that I use, even though I have both. I'd never touch that one anymore. It's just this one all day, baby. The battery life is insane. And I even bring this with me to ultra races because sometimes in a really long, like 100-miler, you might start to cramp up or have IT band problems. I've never run into that, fortunately, but I carry this with me just in case so I can work out a muscle at an aid station if I need to. It's indispensable. Pick one up. I'll leave a code below, definitely. All right, finally, number 4. This one is a really cool hack that I know you've heard of before, and it's called the ice bath. Now, you can use cold for a lot of ways to improve your performance. I have other videos on that here that you can watch. But in terms of recovery, we want to use ice in very specific ways. Now in sports medicine school, which is where most of my training is from, undergrad and graduate school, we use something called cryotherapy. If you ever get an injury and then the doctor puts ice on it, well, we're using ice to help with recovery. So ice can do things like reduce inflammation, vasoconstrict, so take your blood vessels and make them kind of shrink like that. And that can be good because if you have inflammation or swelling in there, it can pump it out push it out. So direct application of ice is therapeutic sometimes when you have an injury, but submerging your body in very cold water is indispensable. Now, there's a couple of reasons why this is. There's a number of benefits to your recovery and to your performance, but let's kind of hit them 1, 2, 3. Okay, one of the benefits that you get to your recovery is that, like I just said, if you have swelling or blood that's pooling, so you could have blood that, like injury blood that's pooling or blood from your circulation that's pooling, either way, we can pump it out of there. So we take the blood vessels and we constrict them, and then when you get out of the cold, they dilate again. And so it's a pumping action to remove edema or swelling, and that's a good thing. But for your performance, you also get a number of other benefits, and you get 2. One of them is that you increase what we call brown adipose tissue. So if you ever have like a Thanksgiving meal, let's go back to that, and there's white meat and dark meat. The dark meat is dark because it has more mitochondria in it. The tissue is actually browned because there's more mitochondria. So you can actually do the same thing to your body, and cold exposure increases how much brown adipose tissue we have. So it increases the mitochondria stored in our fat tissue. Now, if you want to run well and recover well, we want to have an abundance of energy to do so. But where does energy come from? It essentially comes from, it's ATP, adenosine triphosphate, and we make energy, ATP, chiefly through our mitochondria. And the mitochondria takes in a couple things, but chiefly it's going to take in oxygen and it's going to take in fuel like glucose that we eat from our diet. And it goes through the Krebs cycle and it makes energy. And the more mitochondria you have, well, the more energy you can make, which means the better you can perform, but the better you can recover, and the better you can do really anything. It is the lifeblood of our life. The only thing that makes energy is mitochondria. We want to have a lot of mitochondria, and cold exposure will increase the mitochondria stored in our brown adipose tissue. But a second thing that happens is you actually get some feel-good response. So when you go into the cold, it has to be pretty cold. So we're talking about 50 degrees or below. When you get into cold water, it shocks your body. Now that shock stimulates a cold shock protein. Now as a response of being shocked, your body doesn't want you to feel horribly uncomfortable and die, so we release some feel-good chemicals. They're called the catecholamines. And these are things like adrenaline, epinephrine is adrenaline, norepinephrine, and dopamine. And you've heard of dopamine before, a feel-good neurotransmitter, but we release these in response to getting into the cold. So you're gonna feel good, you're gonna build up more mitochondria, which is gonna improve your recovery, improve your performance, improve your health, and your longevity as well on top of that. So these are the things that I want you to consider. Now, after you've done all of these things, if you really are sleeping a lot, and that means you're going to bed relatively early and you wake up without an alarm so that your body can sleep as long as it needs. For most people training at a high level, this is gonna be upwards of 9 hours per night. If you're training at a lower level, hey, do what you will. I'm just telling you, you'll probably do better if you sleep more. That's number 1. Number 2 is your nutrition. We want to decrease the cost of our digestion. We want to make our digestion very easy to eliminate, easy to stay hydrated, giving us the macronutrients that we need, chiefly glucose and fructose. That's what our body runs off of, especially when we're running. That's what our brain uses for fuel. We want to have the right inputs. Number 3 is massage. Now, massage is not nearly as important as sleeping and nutrition. I will prove it to you. I'm gonna put a clip here of one of my runners. His name is Paxton. Now, Paxton is a very good runner. He was in the 2:30s for the marathon back in January. And then we did a holistic dietary shift. Now, you don't have to do this, but I want you to hear this.
The diet's helping incredibly. The whole raw, plant-based, fruitarian setup is awesome. You know, we've been chatting over this for a long time, but I always had plantar fascia pain and Achilles pain. I don't anymore at all. And that's not because I've been doing any massage or any PT or any taking care of it. I just eat good. The body's taking care of itself with that regard. Yeah. But I used to wake up in the morning and like take those gingerly steps just to try to like warm up my feet. And now I can wake up and I don't think about it anymore. It's just completely gone. And then I'm down 47 pounds. Yeah, my arms have kind of, look at those. Those are marathoner arms. See how big that is? But I can still 10 rep 40-pound curls with that.
You're super strong too. Tell us what your squat or your deadlift. I think they're pretty impressive for a distance runner.
I can 265 for 5 reps back squat to full parallel depth, and then I haven't done any heavy deadlifts for a while, just squats, and then I'm kettlebell swinging 104 pounds for 8 reps.
Your fitness is there. You've been running high volume for a long time, great workouts, and you're super strong. Let me ask you, if you go back to a couple years ago in your marathoning, were you this strong? Do you think you could have done 265 for 5 reps?
No.
So you're stronger too?
I'm stronger than I was. Yeah, like I did a little bit of a different run on Saturday. I did a 20 miles with a friend up and down canyons. We logged 8,000 feet of vert. And I didn't start sweating until we were back on the valley floor for the last 2 miles and the sun was hitting us. But I logged all of the vert without dripping any sweat.
Where'd you get your protein? It's rhetoric, but that comes up a lot, right? And look at this, you can get stronger.
Everybody asks me, so how about that protein? And I was like, well, if I wasn't getting it, I wouldn't be stronger and I wouldn't be recovered. And my energy levels are 10 out of 10 all the time. I hardly ever feel like I'm lagging. But I do try to get 8 hours of sleep a night or plus.
He chose to change his diet to a completely raw fruit and vegetable diet. 100%. Now, he lost 47 pounds, but think about that. He was a 2:30 marathoner. He didn't have 47 pounds to lose, so it seems, but he did. So you probably have that or some portion of that as well, as most people do, and that's okay. We can always improve. But he also said something that was quite interesting. For years and years, all the way going back to college, he had plantar fasciitis. He'd wake up in the morning, and those first couple steps out of bed were kind of ginger and tender. And after changing his diet, he's not only running better and lost weight, but that plantar fasciitis that he had when he was running 90 miles a week back in college, he's running 90 miles a week now. His mileage didn't go up or down, but his performance got better. And the plantar fasciitis went away. Why? Well, he's sleeping about the same, he's training the same volume, but his diet changed. That's the importance, that's the impact and the significance of diet. Now, once you really do a good job with these two, you can recover better through massage. You can do it in any way that you want, but I highly recommend getting a massage gun. This thing can massage anything on your body, and I really recommend this brand. I've tried a bunch of them. This is the best one. It's called Bob and Brad. There's a link below. Check them out. It's awesome. If you want to improve your sleep, you want to get blackout curtains, cool the temperature down in the room, cool your body temperature down, and whatever you can do to make it dark, so blackout curtains, and if you can't do that or if you're traveling, get a good sleep mask and don't get a crappy sleep mask. Get a good one. This is the best one, hands down. I mean, by far. For goodness sake, you can't see squat when you put this thing on. And this is Manta Sleep. I use the Manta Sleep mask, and then I also use the Manta Sleep sound for when I'm traveling. Gives you the Bluetooth earbuds on there. And then finally, you wanna get access to an ice bath. If you're in this for the long term, just do it. Now, ice baths, look, I've been doing ice baths for a long time, and normally what I did for the last several years is I just drive to a cold mountain creek, because I live in the mountains, and it's cold. Even in the summer, it's pretty dang cold, and I just get in. But it's a little inconvenient to do that. So you could take a cold shower, but I'll tell you that cold showers suck. I don't like them. I rarely do them, only if I don't have access to a cold plunge, because it's kind of like spitting water on you and you have to spin around and get it on your head, and it just, I don't like it. So get yourself a cold plunge. Now, cold plunges, they sound like they'd be a big investment, that they'd be really expensive. And honestly, for a good one, it is. It's gonna be thousands of dollars, but you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. You can make one. One of my past girlfriends, she made one out of a feed tank. You just go to like a farm feed tractor supply store. You can get a 100-gallon feed tub and you can fill it with water. It costs like $100, $150. Boom. Fill it with water, fill it with ice. But what I use is the cold pod. I'll leave a link for it below as well. I love the cold pod. I use it every single day. I use it twice a lot of days. And reasons I like it, number one, it's super cheap. You can get different sizes, but if you just get like a small size just for you, it's like $100, give or take. It's portable. You kind of pitch it like a tent. You put the poles in, it sets right up, and you just fill it with a hose. And it's got a drain at the bottom, so when it gets yucky, you just drain it, give it a little scrub, fill it back up. It's no big deal. I drain mine about once a week and then just fill it back up. I just take ice from my freezer and dump it in there. You're gonna go through a bunch of ice, but hey, if you wanna get one that plugs in and stays cold, you gotta spend $1,000 or $3,000 for that. If you want to, go do it. But I didn't want to, so it's like $100 for a portable one, and you can take it with you. And then I just keep ice in my freezer and dump it in. Now, actually, I'll show you a hack that I use. Okay, here's a hack that I use for my cold plunge. I do put the ice from the ice maker in the freezer into the cold plunge, but I also have 3 of these in there all the time. You recognize that, right? This is just a box of greens, because remember nutrition, I hope you're eating lots of fruits and vegetables. If you are, you get these bins of greens and they just make giant ice cubes. So I save the bins, fill them up with water. I save the water too, because I just fill the water from the cold plunge and then stick it in my freezer. And I've got 3 of these. So I throw these in about half an hour before I'm gonna cold plunge. And then right before I get in, I dump all the ice cubes in there. And you gotta do that every day, but it's a cheap and easy way to get these done. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I really wanted to share something with you that was some things that you probably haven't heard of before and some reasons why you might wanna do things. Look, the truth is that when you listen to running coaches or anybody talk about recovery, they're gonna talk about this supplement you can take and this electrical stimulation and red light therapy and all this nonsense. But really, you have to sleep and you have to eat well. You have to do that if you wanna stand a chance. And then from there, manipulate the tissues a little bit, give them some love, and then give yourself a systemic massage with the ice bath. Now, if you did all of this and you're still not recovering, it's probably impossible for that to happen. You can run 50 or 60 miles per day every single day, and ultra runners do it if you sleep well and eat well and take care of yourself. You can. So unless you're at that kind of volume, which most people are not, I'm not at that kind of volume, yikes. Then the only other thing that you can do, if you've done all of this, is that you can just run easy. A lot of runners are making the mistake of running most of their training runs far too hard. They're not really hard, and they're not truly easy. They're kind of in that medium range. And that medium range is the dead zone. We don't want to spend that much time there. We want to do a lot of running that is very easy. Zone 1, zone 2, a lot of it. And we want to do a lot of running that is very fast, but not necessarily hard, maybe short. And this would be things that I call strides, or even hill sprints that are very short. And we're talking about like 100 meters or 200 meters that are at like 2-mile race pace. If you train like that, very easy, and then lots of short bouts of fast, you're gonna avoid a lot of burnout that happens from this yellow area. So if all else fails, slow your runs down, get into that easy zone, maintain your speed with some strides. And if you do that and omit that middle chunk, and you sleep well, you eat well, you give yourself an occasional massage and you take ice baths. If you do that, you are gonna be able to train at a much higher volume. You're gonna feel better, you're gonna recover better, you're just gonna feel good. You're gonna come back to this video and you're gonna smash that like button because it gave you all that you need. I really hope that you enjoyed this. This has been Andrew Snow with Run Elite. Thank you and goodbye.